My name is Shane McDonald. I'm an attorney at law in South Florida. I'm actually called to the bar in Jamaica and in Florida. I practice three areas of law: family law, criminal, and immigration. I call these three areas a trifactor because many times they play on each other. I'll have a case, for instance, where a man is accused by his wife of committing an act of domestic violence. So I usually have to go to the criminal felony court to get that resolved. After I get that resolved, at times they're going through a divorce and I have to deal with that. And then there are sometimes immigration consequences as well, and I also have to deal with that. So I like that the three areas that I do interact with each other. A little about me. So I have two law degrees, one from the University of the West Indies in Jamaica and the Norma Mandela Law School. And then I have a Juris Doctor from the University of Florida. Go Gators! I also have two master's degrees, one from the University of Oxford, England. I have a master's there in criminology and criminal justice. And then I also have another master's degree from Florida International University in international crime and justice. And currently I'm pursuing a doctoral degree that I'm hoping I'll be finished in the next year or two. And one of my greatest accomplishments, I would say, is actually my diploma in Spanish. So with that, I wanted to introduce you to what I'm going to call Unscripted. It's just me talking to some of my clients about cases that we have to show you a real insight into what people go through in the criminal justice system or the family system or immigration. This week we're going to be focusing, since we just had Father's Day pass, on parental alienation. And I'm going to show you the stories of three men who have volunteered to come and share their stories with you of their fight to get their children in court and what it was like, how they have been able to overcome what they're currently going through. So I just wanted to share their stories with you to show you, to give hope to other men out there who may be going through this system as well, to give hope to other parents or just people in general, to show you that it's worth the fight. Thank you. So, Carlos,
Yes.
remember how we met? We're doing a series on parental alienation, and I remember how we met in court. I was on Zoom, minding my business, right there for a very simple case. This was 2021.
Yes, it was. Yes.
And I was just, on Zoom with a lot of people, and I heard you crying, literal tears.
I was.
You were telling the judge, I won't ever say his name, but you were telling the judge that they took away your son and they had you sign a paper that you would never see him again.
Yes.
And you said to the judge, judge, the judge said, "Is this what you want?" And you said, "It's not what I want, Your Honor, but I'm tired of fighting. I don't have the money to fight." And I sat there that day on Zoom going, "Don't do it, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it." But then my daughter, she's the same age as your son.
Oh my goodness.
She was small, like one.
Well, yeah.
And she was on the carpet nearby, crawling around or whatever she was doing, or a couple months, I don't remember. And I looked at her and I said to myself, how would I feel if somebody was taking away my child? And then I spoke up and I said, "Judge, I'll help him."
Yes.
A year and a half later, Carlos, they dragged me on that case, boy. A year and a half later, it took me 9 months for me to get you to see your son for a couple hours.
Yes.
After I got that couple hours, they took me to the Court of Appeal.
Yes.
So first, they took me to dependency court in Miami. I had to fight that.
Remember?
Then they took us to dependency court in Broward. We had to fight
Oh
that.
my goodness.
Then
Yes.
they took me to the Court of Appeal because you got a few hours
That's
in
right.
the week. And
It took us to Miami.
it was hard. That was hard. So tell us what it was like for you and the fight for years.
Yes. It's 5 years. About 5 years on our about, right? Give or take. My son is 5. He's going to be 6 now on July 30th. Yeah, it was a very horrible feeling. It was, I felt alone. Had not been for Miss McDonald to provide her support, I would have probably never seen my son ever again, because the mindset was just to take him away from my life. And all I wanted to do was pay my child support, be a parent, and do my timesharing. But it was really tough. Depression kicked in. I would ball up in a corner in my room, cry every single day, asking why I had to be away from my little boy. The reason I had him all along was because I wanted to be part of his life, and I wanted to be a dad, show him how to be a man, and just be there with him. But these obstacles, with the lawyer taking us to court, to different courts, he would file charges from us on Broward, West Palm Beach. He filed in Miami.
Every week.
Every week we had motions, right?
Every
Motions
week.
threatening us. Got to the point where after the Zoom, I don't know, I kept grieving to you that they wouldn't allow me my whole time. My time was cut short, maybe 2 minutes on Tuesday, 2 minutes on Thursday, 4 hours on every other Saturday. And it was just ripped me apart just to have to give my son to a man. It was my wife's mother's boyfriend, which is a millionaire. He was actually supporting all of this. It's a very, very bad person. I think that race played a big part in this. He's always told me, he didn't agree with the relationship. And being that he had millions, this guy has millions, he just decided to dish out $800,000 to a lawyer, nonstop, every week, just pounding on me, taking my son away. And every day I felt my son was getting farther and farther away from us, to the point where we hired a lawyer, and she ended the case in 3 months and took all the hard work Mr. McDonald and the other lawyer that was helping us did. And it was just pretty scary to the fact that they were threatening with jail time, taking my house, suing me for 800. Yeah, suing me.
They did everything to keep your son away.
They did everything to keep me away from my son. They initially they coerced me into allowing me. They scared the living stuff out of me, because the threats, the emotional stress, taking my son. I eventually gave up because I didn't have the means to fight. And Miss McDonald came along and decided that she was going to help me on her own free time, without any compensation, to fight this monster and reunite me with my son. So years went by, many years, and my time was getting limited with my son, to the point where if my son got sick on a Saturday when it was my turn, there wouldn't be no makeup time. I would have to wait literally a month or a month and a half to see him again.
That's what the alienation is, like just cutting your time with your son. I remember when we used to go to court basically every week.
Yes.
Because you have some attorneys, they paperwork you to death.
Yes.
And every time we won a hearing, and for a year and a half, every single hearing we did with.
We did.
But I used to be dancing in the driveway. Yeah. But, when you have one side with a lot of money and then the other side with no money, it's really hard to do that fight. Yeah. And not only did Carlos not have money, he had no help. So, just to be able to help him, and even the little small steps. Like, I remember we got to 8 hours a week,
yes,
and then boom, they took us to the Court of Appeal. And
yes, again.
I had just started practicing law here, and I've never gone to the Court of Appeal before, but we won that case. We won every single little hearing. I remember one was attorney's fees. Right? Remember, he's being paid a lot of money on the other side.
$800,000.
And, the child support net that they catch you in again. You're not seeing your child, but you're paying thousands of dollars in child support.
$1,700
a month.
A month for one
And then
child.
it adds up, at some point you lose your job. That was an
3 times. Lost my job 3 times.
Losing your job, and you still have to pay the child support, then it adds up, and then you're always behind, and you're always in contempt for that.
Yep.
But we had a lot of hearings that we had to go through. I remember we had an attorney's fees hearing. I don't remember how many, thousands he was asking for. He got $0.
He got $0, yes.
So it was hard, You cried a lot.
I cried a lot because I love my son, and I didn't want to be away from him. I'm sure that every parent out there would feel what parents like in our position are feeling, and I really have a lot of sympathy and empathy, and it really hurts, that the system, so rigged court system, especially when you don't have money. Um, I felt like every time because of all the money and him being the way he was being, they always wanted to kind of favor him, let him talk, and not always
You
let
mean the
him.
other attorney?
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was
yeah,
interesting.
yeah, yeah. He wouldn't let you talk sometimes.
Yeah, that's fine, but
And
by the grace of God, I was getting
yes,
my words in.
yes,
So it
and we
was
did.
was
We
a
did.
bully.
Yeah,
It
he
was
was a
a
bully.
bully, and we dealt with that bully. We
We
took
did.
him down.
Yes, we did.
And I think at the end, just the whole way he had to come off the case was even
Oh
victorious.
my God, that was epic. Yes.
That was,
Yeah, he was surprised.
oh,
The element of surprise, it's
oh my
very
God.
cunning,
But
right?
it,
Yep,
it took us long to get there, but we got
it did.
there.
I always looked at it as a Goliath against David
Goliath and
against
David.
Goliath. Yeah, right.
But honestly, every time I went to court, that's how I used to feel like
Yeah,
I was a David and he was a
Goliath.
Goliath.
Yep, yep,
But because this attorney has been practicing for longer than I was alive, and
yep.
I'm telling you, Carlos, I was just new, happy to be on Zoom, and I heard you crying to the judge.
Yes.
And I remember there were a couple attorneys, and it was me and another female that spoke up for you that day.
Which never helped us, right?
Well, but I will say it was a fight.
It was a fight. It was a
It
big fight.
was a long, everyday fight.
Yeah.
Every minute you were in court, the filing of paperwork, it was a fight.
It was a fight. I almost felt it was good against evil.
But it wasn't a necessary fight. And this is the
Yes.
thing, like, when one parent decides to hold a child away from a good dad.
Hmm.
A dad, you have what, 3 daughters?
I have 4 daughters.
Four
Actually.
daughters.
Yep, my oldest,
Everybody doing well. You raise your kids. This was your only son, your baby.
my baby,
And
my only son.
for no real reason, just for control. You mentioned race, she's
Yes,
white,
yes.
you're Hispanic,
Yep.
her family's white, the
Yes.
man that funded the attorney is white, but
Yep.
but I know race played a factor in it because I remember not only did they take your son, they changed his name.
Oh, they did. Well, he told me he always wanted. I don't mean I'm not. I wasn't raised in a prejudice because I'm from New York, so I deal with a lot of different types of people and religious and stuff. The fact that he always used to tell me he always wanted a nice Jewish guy for her is what he always used to tell me. I never, I kind of ignored that. But he was always against our relationship, and I know that was the main reason why he ended up spending all that money and campaigning to take my son away, changing his name, like you said. And I didn't know they changed your name until you called me and
I
told me.
know you didn't even know,
No,
like,
no,
so
no.
a lot, a lot happened, but I mean, boy, Carlos, I don't know. You were lucky.
I was very lucky and fortunate to have you and Renee, the other lawyer who helped us a lot.
Yes,
It was very difficult to endure this pain and suffering, especially on the mental side.
another thing that was mentioned earlier, when the judges change, that
Yeah.
affects your case so
Oh my
much
goodness, that's
because
right.
you had like about 5 judges.
4 or 5 judges, like
Yes,
every year,
every minute,
yeah.
right? So you had that judge and that judge and that judge. And every time we gain a momentum or attraction, then a judge changed, and then we had to start all over because the new judge has to catch up.
Correct.
And I remember one particular judge, like, they used to say, "Oh, these things are in the order," which they weren't.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember that one judge actually read and be like, "No, it's not in the order," like that,
Yep.
And that's one of the things that affects a lot of families. The changing of the judges every minute because, especially cases like yours that are so contentious.
Mm-hmm.
Just having a judge and changing the judge, it creates a lot of problems.
It does. It does. Creates a lot of problems, and the people on the receiving end suffer the consequences of all this.
And the kids suffer.
And using the system, of course, using the system against you, finding loopholes to take your child away for no reason, only because he could, have all that money. It's sad that the legal system allows this kind of nonsense to go on, knowing, because they can see. They just do nothing about it, right? I mean, so pretty sad and pretty sad, right?
If you had any advice to give men who are literally going through it, still going through it right now, what would you tell them?
I would say hold your head, keep believing in yourself. Keep believing that the tables will turn at some point. Don't give up. It's a fight. You're in the fight for your life, for your son, for your family, your daughter. I say continue and never give up. Never give up is kind of what my message. Because if you do, they've already won. So keep up the fight as best as you can, and have faith. And karma comes around, and I believe so wholeheartedly in that. That eventually, good defeats the evil, and in this case, this is what happened. Good people teamed up for good purpose, and just don't get violent. That is not going to solve anything.
Oh yeah, we've had our talks.
Yes, those talks and those thoughts would come to your head.
Or just say, calm down. And
Yep.
the thing is, family law, especially when people grab your kid for no reason, it gets so emotional. You're angry.
Yep.
And even sometimes as the attorneys, we have to keep our heads clear because we get angry too, especially when you have a really just despicable person sometimes on the other side. But like have to be like, Carlos, you need to calm down. You
Yeah.
need to focus. And by the way, I'm telling you, and I'm also telling myself, calm down. Don't get,
And I used to do it. I used to get emotional in the court system. I used to outburst and get Miss McDonald in trouble and have her have to file a motion, because it was emotions that were really taking over at that time. It wasn't me at times. It was just my emotion, my love for my son. The desire to be together and
how
just
unfair it
how
was
unfair
that
it
they took
was.
him away. There's no reason for you not
No
to
reason.
spend time, and we're here. And then a lot of people don't understand. It's a long process. Sometimes I have a great cousin, God bless her, but she used to have to tell me you have to play the long game because we feel it too, you know.
Yeah.
But nobody wants to play the long game. Like, you should be able to see your son right now, today. And I always had to be like, it's a process, it's a long game. The court dates, it's this, and they put it off, and then a new judge, and they put it off, and a new date, and the process.
Yeah, it's horrible.
And it's not fair. But I've also had to be like trying to steer both of us to focus.
Yes.
And not get angry. And how I am in court. A lot of times, the other side be crying and carrying on, and I'm like, but why are you crying?
Yeah.
You have your kid. He's the one that has a seat. But it was
rough.
It was a long time.
Well, I mean, you bought your friend Mrs. William, who did the supervised visit for us, the exchange.
Yeah,
Remember that?
I remember her.
Because they didn't want to release my son to me. Them and they wanted somebody present and continue. Everything was to make us spend money.
The supervised time sharing.
Yeah, that was another one. But I'm saying Mrs. William, the police officer, had to be there for the exchange. You remember? And you called her, and she was really supportive, and she used to say, I don't need to be here. She's just doing that to and it was the guy. It was the guy.
Anything that would cost you financially,
that's what it was.
Aggravate you and frustrate you.
Yes.
But things are getting better now.
They are getting
I've been
a lot
able
better.
to see your son more, almost every day.
Every
for
day.
a couple months.
Every day I see my son. We've established a relationship with the mother. We realized some things that were not, good. So we are trying to do the parenting deal, as a team, which is all I ever asked for. And initially, all I wanted to do is just be the father that people want to be to their children. That's basically the mindset.
How is he doing?
He's doing good. He's doing really good. He's 5. He reads.
Nice.
He's going to camp.
Nice.
He's going to first grade next year.
Nice.
I get to pick him up from school, take him to school, take him to the park, buy him ice cream. Just the little things that mean so much that were taken away from me for no reason. I get to buy him a coloring book.
You told me Christmas gone was the first Christmas since he was born you had with him.
Yes, this was our first Christmas together. We spent it together. The mom was there as well.
First Christmas.
We had our first Christmas tree,
5
our first
years
birthday
old.
together.
5 years old.
5 years. Yep. And he loves his dad. He always wants to be with daddy.
He always loved his dad.
Yes, and that's important. And I love him as well, so yeah. Yes. And I mean, just wish everybody good luck. keep up the fight.
Mm.
Don't stop. Hold your head, and continue. Carry on.
What was the turning point in the case for you? What do you remember happened when things were turned around?
Well, I remember when things were a little bit turned around. We realized at that point that the common denominator, the major factor, the major problem was the actual stepdad. The turning point was when we were able to communicate, because we were being blocked. We were blocked from communicating. We had a restraining order. She was being also threatening by him to not communicate. Until one day we decided to talk, and that was a turning point when we realized that technically we were being lied to from this person as well. And literally, he was the one doing everything. He was the one setting the motions up. He was the one just doing all this bad stuff. So the turning point for me was when we were able to communicate as two civilized humans, and understand that parenting as a team is what really was the proper course of action here. There was no room for hate, and everything was hate, hate, hate. And we turned that hate into love, and for the love of our son, which is the most important thing. So I think for me that was a turning point when we were able to communicate. So communication is really important, especially in these situations.
If they want to communicate.
If they want to communicate.
That's the biggest thing. Like when one parent is really against the other parent seeing the children or the child, they don't want to communicate. And there's something we'll get into, but restraining orders is one of the biggest things people use as a tool
Yes.
against the other parent to alienate the children.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there's a court order that we can't speak. Where is that order? It's always something but yeah, I think it wasn't just the mother here. There was a whole, puppet master pulling strings, and that string came with serious money.
Mm-hmm.
But as he said, the good overcame the evil, because the evil just spread. Like, it was one thing when you were supporting the woman, but then you started fighting with her. That was the mistake that was made there, and then it came back full circle.
Yeah.
So
It did.
and you guys are going to Puerto Rico.
We are. We're gonna have our first kind of family vacation trip.
Oh no.
So tomorrow we're gonna be leaving to Puerto Rico with my son and my ex-wife. She's been there about 5 times, so my family knows her. She's happy to go. My son is still accepted. They never really met my son. And I still remember January 6th of this year when we walked into the court. That was another turning point. We actually walked into the court together without the lawyer knowing. And
That's her lawyer knowing, yes.
Yeah, and her evil stepdad was there. And the look in their face was pretty priceless when they saw that we walked in together. And I told the judge, because initially they thought that I threatened her and I brought her to court under stress and through threats. And they still were pulling this, like, I am the bad guy. And I told the judge, I said, listen, I told her, she's my wife, and we're going home together. We came here together, and we're leaving together. The judge said, oh, you're violating the restraining order. I said, okay. But there's no violation of restraining order if nobody says anything. So it's one of those things where money is a factor. And people who have money can do certain things. And basically, that's kind of what my story was. In a nutshell.
I think in a lot of the cases, money is a major factor. When I look at it, I mean, not necessarily so, but a lot of these kind of parental alienation cases, if they don't have money, then they use other things like lies or a restraining order.
Yeah.
And when they have money, they use all of those.
Yeah.
So.
Well, they lied on me with the domestic violence.
I mean, they lie on people every day with all
I've never put my hands on a woman in my life. I've never been violated, never. So it's not my.
But they have to use. They have to have some allegations that people just throw out just to be able to say something. Yeah. So thank you, Carlos.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Case still kind of going on, but we tried to wrap it up still.
Yeah. We are. Yeah, it's still there, still pending, but nothing's happening because we don't
You're not fighting with
We're
her
not fighting.
anymore.
We're not fighting. We get along. We have
And I remember, like, the guy was like, "Oh, you could go on. I will keep the case going." And I was like, "No, it's her name that's in court."
Yeah.
You know, that was a whole
Yeah.
thing.
Oh, he
So,
wanted. He even tried to bribe her.
yeah.
He tried to have her sign documents so he can carry on with the case. And,
Not his kid, not his case, but he wants to pay to keep Carlos out of his son's life.
Yeah, he wants to keep paying. Yep, and she told him no.
More
I'm not
than
gonna
half
do
$1
that.
billion
Yeah.
spent, and he's now has his son.
I'm sure he. Yeah. I'm sure he bought the other lawyer. I don't want to say her name, but it was a she. And she was from Boca. She was from
Oh my
Boca.
God,
Yeah,
you're
and
hilarious.
I feel that she railroaded me, and she knows it. Is the good part was that on January 6th for us in Puerto Rico is Three Kings Day and other places and he was just it was just kind of lost my thread here, but it was just the way everything panned out was a little weird. That last day when we went to court and kind of figured that out. It was just really overwhelming, I guess.
So, thanks, Carlos.
Thank you
All
for
the
having me.
best.
Appreciate that. Thank you, Ms.
Aw.
McDonald.